Hello, galactic travelers. Cosmic Krista here in her flesh suit. Oh my goodness. Today's a big day. Today's a really big day for me. And good and bad, right? There's always good and bad. Why is today a big day? We have this super new moon. And we need to talk about it a little bit. Because just like how we watch astrology and we use those transits in order to understand and overstand why we might be reacting in a certain way or feeling a certain way, the moons are powerful, powerful tools in order to help us release and to bring in. And so we happen to be living right now in the age of humanity in a new CC Christ consciousness world. And because of this major earth shift that is happening right now, which you're all seeing in the weather, additional shifts keep happening. It doesn't all happen just at once. Boom, right? Thank you, Creator, because everything's a process for the best of us. So we're witnessing some of the craziest astrology, some, astrologically speaking, in our skies we haven't seen, and don't ask me why I know this perfectly, but it's 26,582 years. And we've talked about this, how all these planets are in Pluto, in Capricorn right now, where Pluto is, which is why it's straight up on my mind this very second. But we also, are looking back at what we used to call things, like, for instance, when I woke up, I knew there was a black moon, and I knew that Black Moon's daughter was important to me somehow. And it was part of my puzzle, right? We leave these puzzle pieces for us, and moons have an important part, and I'm going to get to it, so don't hang up, because tonight is the most powerful new moon that you're ever going to see. And it's profound, and it's real, and you can utilize it to bring in good, manifest whatever in your life. So listen, but first I need to explain it so that you understand the power of it, so that you can mentally believe it, so that you can carry it to your heart and create it. And we're going to do it together on this huge new moon. They used to call a black moon, if you go look up in the books that the men wrote, right, they called the black moon, it was when there were two moons, full moons, in the same year. In the same month. Sorry. In the same month. So, typically we have one full moon, and when the full, then it gets full, and then it wanes, and then what happens is, the dark side, when it gets completely dark in the back, well, that's the new moon. So the moon hasn't changed. It's which way the power's going, right? With energy, because we're all energy, the moon's energy, and we're learning more and more and more and more how connected we are to those energies. So the full moon, 2 full moons in a month, was called a black moon. Well, now we know. And then this only comes around like once a year. And it didn't make sense, right? Well, now we know It's because our calendar system is all fucked up. It's all fucked up. We're supposed to go on a moon cycle, and oh gosh, what's the Facebook site? I'll put it down below, and I saw her. I apologize, Brianna. I think it's Magic. I don't want to mess it up. But there's a bunch of girls in the tribe, you know, that are all following the moon cycles and on their cycles. I don't have them anymore, else I'd be doing the same thing. But what we're learning, you know, the more and more that we get in tune with the earth, because that's how we're supposed to live, and that is the past coming to the future. It's how we're supposed to live on earth. This is what has been suppressed from us. So those of us that are waking up are discovering a lot of things. And here we go. We're going back to the calendar. So the calendar should have 13 months. There also should be 13 zodiac signs. You know, there was a lot of flip-flopping. It's numerology. It's basically the new energy being used against us for all this time. So, you know, I paid attention to this black moon. I wasn't sure if it was talking about the black moon, you know, the dark side of the moon, so that could be new moon, or was it, you know, this man trying to convince us that the whole rest of the planet's working on a different timeline, but we shouldn't be following it. And when I woke up, remember I told y'all, and I need to do a whole video on this, but you know, the biggest ancient knowledge that I just woke up with and just had this urgency to do was to plant a new earth, a new Gaia. And I was very careful of what I planted, and I planted it right after I woke up on the full moon of Scorpio, but knew that my powers lied in the new moon. I didn't know why I knew that, but it's these knowings, trusting your intuition. I just knew that the new moon was my power. Now I know it's because I was born on a new moon. So go check it out. See what moon cycle you were born in. If you're like me and you were born on the new moon, then that means that your greatest ability, innate ability, is to energize and and harmonize with a new moon. And your power, like my power to manifest with a new moon, is more powerful than my releasing with the full moon, which is what the full moons are for. So why is this a big one? Well, this is a big one because did y'all see the full moon of Cancer? You know, remember, we've got all this astrology. Planets are in alignment that they haven't, you know, seen. I think, you know, Pluto takes 280 years. I forget the configuration. I know at least a couple of thousand years that Pluto's in Capricorn, and we've got Uranus trining, Aries. I don't want to say all this stuff wrong. There's a lot going on in order to break up this slave system that we're in. And so we really need to be using these full moons right now. So the full moon of Cancer, just with all the astrological events with the planets that were going on in the sky, was a massive release of energy on the planet. Remember, because everybody's waking up in some form or another. I had a friend just tell me the other day that someone that just remembered a horrific event that happened when they were very young. But just in a flash, they remembered. These things are happening because we're reaching a higher frequency. And so, you know, if you've chose to go to the light, to go to 5D, because you know that there's something better than this. This meaning 3D, this meaning go to work, pay your bills, live in fear, judgment, and hate. And if you want to leave that, that's where we're going. But you have to make a decision to do it. And when you do, then you can start using all these tools. I kind of jumped around maybe, but whatever I said was important. So when that full moon happened, because full moons, you've got all the energy on this side. And so what it did is it hit the collective consciousness. And most people, you know, we just know people act crazy on full moons, but we didn't know why. Well, it's because you release on a full moon. So, you know, full moon parties were really fun. Like everybody just got cray-cray. No one really cared. Like it was just, woo, balls to the walls. We remember those days. Well, that's why. Because we were releasing. Now, when you're a conscious being, then you can choose to release what you need to release. So, we'll do a more in-depth full moon video, but just simplistically, we'll do this. You know, your first couple of full moons, I suggest getting paper, like a big sheet of paper like this. Write out what it is that you want to release. And I took up the whole sheet of paper, and I used big words like hate, the bankruptcy, the house. Like, you know, I released a lot of stuff on my first big full moon, and I suggest maybe you do it a little bit slower. And then I wrote them on a huge piece of paper, and I burned each one. And ironically, within quantum world that we live in, there were a couple that didn't want to burn. They kept flying outside. It was crazy. But then, like, the next full moon, I had already released so much stuff. So then it was more specific things. Like, you know, I don't want to react that way when this happens, or help me. So you go through these releasings. And then you get to a point, you know, like the last, even that Cancer full moon, I just sat underneath the full moon and just, I can't remember what I released or I'd tell you, but it was something that was weighing on me and I could just do it. Well, you know, this is just the paper and writing it down and burning it. You know, you don't have to do that. What that does is it helps give a linear perspective in your mind. If you don't see things that way, then don't do them that way. I'm past that myself at this point, and so I just go have a conversation and I see the energy and I let it go. But see, what happens is so many people do the full moon stuff, and then we've got 2 weeks after the full moon for the new moon. And so tonight is the first new moon. It's the new moon of Capricorn. It's in Capricorn, where the sun is, where Pluto is, where Mercury is, where Venus is, where Saturn is, and Uranus is still, we're going retro. It's in Aries, and between you guys, like my North Node and South Node are at 22 degrees of Capricorn is my true node. Right now on my MC is exactly where Pluto is, and it's trining a bunch of things in my chart. So right now, like literally as we speak, I'm being rebirthed. And today was super hard. Of course it's hard because this was my day. So if you're not following Facebook Cosmic Christy, please, but you are on this ascension path. I'm not doing this like to just build my channel. Look, because I know that whenever I start helping enough people, that this will take care of me. you know, and I need it to take care of me so that I can continue to do these things all day and put these puzzle pieces together and talk to and help. But on my Cosmic Christie Facebook site, I'm starting to share a lot of really personal things because I think it's so important that you guys know that life just isn't all sunny all the time. It's not just all hearts and rainbows. There is some shit that we have to go through. And it's important that you see me going through it too. Now, luckily, it doesn't happen to me as much anymore. But you even saw some of those before. So whenever you get a bad day or some shit happens to you, then I want y'all to go to my page and watch me cry through it, and then an hour later send another video and show you how I got through it. Because this is how we're going to continue to help each other without having to charge you guys to talk to me all the time. So please go check it out, okay? Because I posted some videos there. And the reason I'm saying this is because, yeah, I was thinking, man, I had a couple of Saturn days in tests, and this was my new moon, and maybe I blocked my astrology because I didn't want to remember until I just posted to everyone, I'm crying and I can't stop. And, so I went through some stuff. So check it out because it'll make you feel better, I promise, to see me go through it, right? This new moon, whenever you're conscious being, so when you release from the full moon, then on the new moon is when you manifest. And it's when you bring something back in. The problem is, it seems like so many people release on the full moon and then they don't bring anything back in. And, that 2 weeks, and when you do that first release and you release all these emotions and stuff, that first 2 weeks until that next new moon, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. And that's whenever I was to go in the backyard and plant Gaia. And on that new moon is when I was supposed to go bless it. And then it worked. Look where we are now. I don't know. Not saying it was all me, but we can do these things. So what I do on a new moon, and I've only missed a couple in the past 7 months, but I have a manifest book that I started like in the way beginning. And in the early beginning stages, I was just talking about how do I want my life to be better. I do big things, old is the new. And some of these are kind of funny. They're little advertisements, but let's just see what's here. Oh, yes. Recalling the ancients and old peace. So, but then I get very specific on my new moons. Oh, I love this one. I love, these boots are beautiful, you have to say. I'm not on advertisements, but I am Venus. I love beautiful things. But I wrote, these boots are made for walking. One of these days, these boots are going to bring down Draco 29. Didn't plan on sharing that, but there's that. Okay. See, new moon in Sagittarius. It's down here. So I'm on new moon of Capricorn. Here we go. And just so you see, on this new moon of Capricorn, these are all my manifestations. This is how everything moves forward. From this point forward, we're writing our story. If we can stay in that positive heart space, if we can stay in golden ratio, which is hard as shit right now, I ain't kidding you, I wasn't there this morning. It gets easier, but when we're there, then we're writing our own story. We're staying positive and we're moving forward. And it's what we need to do, especially if you're watching this channel right now. We are the creators. So not only do we need to just think about us, if you notice in the very beginning, all my manifestations were for the world. And I don't even remember why. It's not that I'm being, saying you know what I mean. It's just how it started. I had self-worth issues in the beginning, and I didn't think I was good enough to manifest for myself, so I just manifested for the world, if we're going to be honest. So now, you know, Cosmic Christie was a manifestation. The next parts are coming, and I have to keep writing my story. And this is a very powerful new moon. So right now, what I want to do is I want to link my energy with each and every one of you. If you will, write down your new moon manifestations tonight. And if you will read them from your heart, and if they are for your highest good, for my highest good, and for the highest good of humanity, I would like for us to link those energies together. And I want us to think about some big things in the process. I want us to think about the geoengineering going on in the sky. We need to flood it with blue Archangel Michael rays of light. It cannot be tolerated anymore. We also need to look at humanity as they're waking up and get creative with our thoughts and manifestations on how they're going to find us and how they can get more information about what's happening to them so that we can help them. You know, these are things that we need to start thinking about. It can't just all be about us, not the way showers. So the geoengineering right now, and I know each one of y'all are going to have different things that are closest to your heart, because we're all one, remember? That's why this is going to work. So whenever I go outside, I just connect to the planets and the stars, and I call on my archangels, I call on my starseed lineage, I call on, I might bring crystals out. I might not. I might be in a hurry and just run outside, but tonight I'm going to take my crystals out, and it's going to be happening here very shortly. And remember, the new moon is black. It's dark. You don't see it. But what is dark? Dark is the absence of light. So it's a blank slate. Whatever light we shine, shines right back at us. So I don't know if you guys understand astrology really and are fully aware of the personal shifts and some of the big ones that happen. For me today, it's a big one. And I'm so grateful for all of you. I really am. And I'm so excited for the journeys that we're going on. And I'm so grateful for the information that has been entrusted in me from the stars and from the simians. And I promise that I will share everything I know and each thing that I can to help all of us through this, because it's beautiful and it's happening. This is Christ consciousness. We're rebuilding a new earth. Namaste to all of you. I love you so much. So go manifest, go write it out. And I connect to every being, if it's of this height, the manifestation for the new moon of Capricorn, the wishes, their personal wishes for themselves, for abundance, so that they can spread love and light to others, and they can continue their personal growth to help rebuild our society and help teach each and every one of us their gifts that are going to help us live in this new world together, because each of us is special. Each of us has a special gift that each other need. So any of those blessings that are asked for of the highest good of humanity, and for the highest good of the soul, and for the highest good of myself, which is we, I bless with the powers of the new moon of Capricorn on my day of rebirth. If they are for the planet, and for Gaia, and for the ascension of humanity, and any creativity, any quantum ideas of technology, or ancient ideas of the past, or merging of the highest good of humanity, I call and bless and ask Gaia to bless. I ask the universe, I ask the stars, I ask Sirius, I ask Regulus, Pleiades, Andromeda, Sirius, Enlightened Orions, Lyra, Vega, Antares, Algora. Please bless these manifestations. Bless these manifestations with the power of this new moon. And let's bring in this new age of Aquarius. And let's all be co-creators. Can I get a hoot hoot? I love you guys. See ya tomorrow. Go manifest. It's blessed times a million.